मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्थपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्त्रो न तीर्थं न वेदा न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धो न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् निराकाररूपो विभूत्वाच्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम्
Hello, my friends. How are you? So I hope you enjoyed the Shankaracharya's hymn, which is basically saying that the true self is beyond all constructs. And we'll play that hymn again towards the end of this talk. Also, I shared with you the 4 fundamental truths before this lecture. I'll share them again at the end of the lecture, and some illustrations which are meant to give you some insight into what we call the entanglement of meaning, is how we construct both the experience of the mind, the body, and the physical world. So I'll come back to those illustrations at the end. We'll play the hymn also in the end, and we'll keep going deeper into self-realization with every Sangha. And we'll bring in other things, the practical applications, if any, of self-realization. Practical applications like good health, improved relationships, emotional, social resilience, spontaneous fulfillment of desires, synchronicity, grace, and higher consciousness. But we'll do that slowly, okay? For now, let's go deeper into what do we mean by self-realization. So let's go a little slowly and carefully into these 2 words. Self-realization. So self refers to what we call I. We talk about ourselves as I. I, myself, myself. Okay. So what does self mean? Self means I. Now, this is where we get stuck. What do we mean by the word I? We use it all the time. It's the most common expression in any language. The word I. I am happy. I'm sad. I'm having this experience. I understand what is being said. I do not understand what is being said. I'm in love. I'm angry. I like strawberries. I went for a vacation. I was born. I was a baby. I was a toddler. I remember my 15th birthday. See, eyes precedes every experience. So right now, you're having the experience, and I've asked you, who's having the experience? You would say, I am. then I would ask you maybe who had the experience of whatever happened yesterday to you. And you'll say, it was me. I had that experience. If I asked you, do you agree with the theory of the Big Bang? You would say yes or no. Who is it that wants to know or understand the theory of the Big Bang? Did it occur? Did it not occur? You would say, I agree, I disagree. Okay, so no matter what the question is, you are asked the question and you respond by saying I. Are you an atheist? I am. Are you an agnostic? I am. Do you, are you actually a believer in God? I am. Doesn't matter what the question is. The answer has to always be preceded by I am. Who knows the history of the Middle Ages? I do. I do not know. Okay. What is the brain? Well, the brain is an organ inside the skull. Who knows the brain? I do. Okay. If I've studied it. Who knows the mind? I do. So I think at this moment it should be clear that I is fundamental to any experience. Any experience. I is fundamental to any experience. Without I, there can be no experience. No understanding, no thought, no imagination, no insight, no creativity, no conversation. I am has to precede every experience. By the way, by the time you have the experience, it's over. So just remember that also. Even these words, by the time you hear them, they're gone. So every experience automatically is not in real time, okay? What we call real time, present moment time. Every experience is actually in the past. And if you look at it, if you understand the experience, then it's a memory. Right now, you're having the experience of this guy called Deepak on live stream. And that experience is happening everywhere in space-time. But those who have this particular link can localize this experience and say, oh, I'm having the experience of Deepak. But at the same time, you're having the experience of yourself, your body. You're having the experience of the room that you're sitting in. You're having the experience of the computer, this voice, all of that. And maybe you're eating chocolate ice cream at the same time. So you're having all these experiences. And where are these experiences occurring? In I am. I am. I am is the center of all experience, the center of all thinking, the center of all imagining, the center of all feeling, the center of all sensations, the center of all perceptions, the center of all fear, anxiety, thought, ideas, everything that we call experience. I am is the center. So now the next question is then, is my I am unique than your I am? See, right now, most people, when they say I am, they think there's some little person sitting inside somewhere in their body, maybe a little Deepak behind here somewhere, looking out at the world, using the brain to interpret, using the eyes to see, using this to speak, using this to hear. So there's a little person, a homunculus, a soul, if you will, inside the body, and it's experiencing the world. The problem is nobody has seen the soul. Nobody has found the soul. And you can do all kinds of experiments. You can track a thought. You can, take a sugar molecule. You can radio label it. You can inject it into the body. You can ask somebody to think, feel, imagine. And then you can see what's happening in the brain. And what's happening in the brain is some electrochemical activity. You say, oh, I can track a thought. But what is it that is tracking the thought? What is it that is seeing the electrical activity in the brain? What is it that knows the brain? What is it that actually is experiencing the brain as well on a dissection table, on a CAT scan, etc.? I am. I am. So you can doubt the existence of everything in the universe except your own existence. So I am is a statement which simply says I exist. Aham. I exist. That's all it means. And we all have that same feeling, right? I have the same feeling, I exist. You have the same feeling. So I am is the common ground of all our experiences. But are we having exactly the same experience? And the answer is no, even though we are all having this experience right now. I think you all probably agree this is color red, unless you have color blindness. You'll all agree that those are books in my body. But even this experience, we're interpreting differently. So we are interpreting differently. So there are many ways we relate to I am. The first way to relate to I am I the body? Okay, so how do I know I have a body? Well, I see it. But when I see the body, actually, when I say I see the body, it's not the body I'm seeing. I'm seeing colors, shapes, and forms. The word body is a human construct for this moving colors, shapes, and forms. Colors, shapes, and forms are shifting, and this shifting appearance is interpreted as the changing body visually. The visual experience is only colors, shapes, and forms. But through memory, we give it an objective reality. That's Deepak's body. It looks like the same body I saw last time. But actually, it's not the same body. Even in every second, the body visually is shifting shapes, forms, and colors interpreted as this moving body. So it's a construct. My body is a construct. In reality, visually, the body is color, shapes, and forms. Of course, when I clap my hands, then it is sound. When I smell it, then it is fragrance. When I taste it, it is flavors. Okay, when I smell it, as I said, it's fragrance, and it's sound, it's flavors, it's colors, its shapes, its forms. The fact that I call it Deepak's body is a human construct. And this is activity. And what's it's an activity? It's an activity of changing perceptual activities in every second. And by the time you experience it, it's over. So what we call birth and death are ceaselessly happening. A birth is born, dies as soon as it's born. A thought is born, it dies as soon as it is born. An emotion is born, it dies as soon as it's born. Image is experienced in consciousness, same thing. When you look at me, look something else. That's a perceptual snapshot. So look at me right now, look at some other object, and look at me again. What you're looking at me now is not the one you looked at me, the one that you looked at just a fraction of a second ago. Every perception is a snapshot. Pup, pup, pup. So what gives it continuity? Why does it look as a movie? Is in between every perceptual snapshot is you. And you are actually interpreting each perceptual snapshot, and you're creating a storyline as a result of memory. Okay, so what you're experiencing right now is memories, period. Now, this is what you're experiencing, memories. Of course, based on the memories, you create imagination, desire, sanskara, all of that. These are all in the Akashic field, but you are never experiencing reality. You're experiencing memories. And then as a consequence of those memories, you're recycling them and you're imagining the future. And so maybe you're recycling like a winding staircase, recycling, moving, etc. So who is that? Who is the I that's doing that? That I is in between every perceptual snapshot. Okay, it's in the gap between every perceptual snapshot, between every feeling, every thought, every image, every sensation is I. But I is also in the snapshot itself, because you can't experience the snapshot unless there's I, being, formless being. So is there one I, or are there innumerable I's? Because, I think I am Deepak. You think you are Susan. Somebody else thinks they're Mary. Somebody else thinks they are a jihadist. Somebody else thinks they are enlightened. So is it the same I? And here is the key. Is I one, or are there innumerable I's? And when you really go deeply into this, you'll see that there is only one I in which all innumerable I's are being experienced. One I in which Deepak's eye is being experienced, Susan's eye is being experienced, Muhammad's eye is being experienced, Jesus' eye is being experienced. Everybody's eye is being experienced in one eye. So that I that I am now experiencing, if I want to experience my real self, all I have to do is shift from what I'm experiencing to that in which the experience is happening. So where am I experiencing what I call this body? In I. Where am I experiencing your notes on my screen? They're coming, but where am I experiencing them? In I. Okay, where am I experiencing my own voice? In I. Where would I experience your voice if you spoke to me? In I. So that I is the source of and projects all I's and all their unique experiences. And the unique experiences are the fluctuations of the vrittis of the one I filtered by identifying with certain memories. And that localizes the I as what we call Jiva. Jiva is, strictly speaking, the way it's translated is soul. Or you can call it conscious agent. So Jiva is the source of all memories, all desires, sanskaras, vasanas, or what we call karma, past experience, interpretation of this past experience. And then we've created a storyline, and that storyline creates the individual I, which then manifests as the individual ego, the individual intellect, the individual mind, which then projects as the karmic body, which is called the food body, and the vital energy of the food body, which is called prana, through which this experience of the universe is happening very uniquely for that entity, which we call Deepak Chopra. But as I speak to you right now, if I shift myself to I will see immediately that that which I call I is experiencing this, what's happening here, what's in the back of the screen, computer, you, all my thoughts simultaneously. So this mind, this body, and everything this mind body is experiencing is in a non-local I, which is not in space-time, which is universal, but is peering at the world through a different perceptual window. The body-mind is a perceptual window through which I have the universal I is having a unique experience of the universe as this and not this. So you are having your unique experience, I'm having my own experience, because the body-mind is the instrument of observation, of experience, whether it's experience through sound or a sensation or image or feeling or thought. This also is a changing instrument that exists in the one I that is experiencing at this moment over 7 billion eyes simultaneously. And experiencing the universe. So the source of that experience, your experience that you're projecting as mind, which is mind, intellect, and ego, buddhi, ahankar, okay, what do we call mind? Mano, buddhi, ahankar. Mano means mind, buddhi, intellect, ahankar, individual ego, which is the personality that is projected by the software of the jiva, which in turn is a modification of localized memories from the past, karma, memory, desire, recycling, and then evolving and evolving and evolving and evolving. Okay. To what purpose? To self-realization, self, knowing the self, realizing the self. And once you realize the self, then you are beginning to not only find liberation from all constructs, but you're going a little bit beyond. You're also realizing that everything that you experience is a projection of yourself. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's a pen or it's a mug or it's your own body or it's his other bodies. We are all basically projections, illusions, but it doesn't matter whether we call it illusion or not, because it's our experience. In fact, what we call an illusion feels real, and it only is known to be your own projection when you shift to I. So right now, let's do something very practical, okay? And that very practical is, as you're listening to me, just be aware of that's listening. As you're listening to me, just be aware of that's listening. Or even if you're looking at me, be aware of that which is looking. And as soon as you do that, you feel a still presence. That's universal I. But the still presence that you feel has seeds of memory, desire, imagination, experience that then projects at this moment what we call me, this body, and all these other bodies experience simultaneously. And when these fluctuations die down, then of course only I is left. When everything dies down, only I is left. When we dream at night, then the fluctuations are more evanescent, ephemeral, hazy, not so clear. Colors, shapes, sounds are there, and we don't even know that we are one of the characters. We just have a sense of I am. Now, when we go to deep sleep, that sense of I am actually doesn't go away. How do we know that? We say, I had a good sleep. I had a joyful sleep. I have a blissful sleep. So there was some experience, but it wasn't fluctuations, either ephemeral or perceptual. So I was in bliss, in deep sleep, blissful sleep. And once we start waking up to that experience of I am in deep sleep, then that's the beginning of what we call expanded awareness, because then we know that I never leaves, ever. Okay, I is present in sleep, I is present in dreams, I is present in perceptual activity, which we call the physical body. It's also present in perceptual activity, which we call the world. So, universal I is called Brahman. Universal I, as sensed within ourselves, the divine, pure being, is called Atman. It's the same. It's the divine within you. It's God and pure consciousness. But then as soon as that begins to stir with the seeds of memory and desire, that starts to become an evolving soul, Jiva. And then that projects itself as buddhi and ahankar and man, mind, intellect, and ego, that projects itself as the karmic body with its energy and its experiences of the world, which are entangled with all other experiences of all the so-called individual I's, which are all contained in the one I. So this can lead to many insights, many conundrums, and this includes. So if I have a soul, is it immortal? What happens to me after I die? Does God exist? Is it he, she, it? Does it care about me, the individual soul? And does it matter? Are there different worlds? Are there different universes? Are there different lokas? Heavens, hells, purgatories. Once you begin to understand I is the source of every experience, and loka is not location in space-time, but a frequency domain of infinite awareness, then of course infinite lokas are possible, infinite knowers appear, infinite modes of knowing appear, and infinite things to be known appear, all on the screen of consciousness. And once we know that it is our own projection, we can deconstruct and then start to reconstruct in the way we want to. And these are frequently referred to as the 5 acts of Shiva. Shiva, by the way, means, we heard the chant, right? Shivoham, I am Shiva. So Shiva is pure consciousness, pure awareness. And Shakti is the movement as vrittis. And these vrittis are sensations, sense perceptions, images, feelings, thoughts. And then the Shakti is given the storyline, which is body, mind, and world. And there are as many storylines as there are modes of knowing and experience, human and animal and plant, and even going back to microbes. Infinite knowers, apparently, infinite modes of knowing, and infinite things known, all projected by the one eye. Okay, so think of, if we think of a maybe metaphor right now, think of electricity, okay? And then the electricity in your house is the same as the electricity everywhere, but also the same electromagnetic energy here, everywhere, all across space-time. But, it's different in my bulb light over there. It's different here. It's different on the computer, all expressing itself differently. So what happens when we die? Well, you'll see we don't, right? Because the I that is projecting birth and death ceaselessly as memory, desire, sanskara, and karma. But holding on to these and identifying with these vrittis gives us the experience that I am an individual. So first exercise, starting today. I am is not a person. I am is never a person. I am is the awareness in which what we call the person recycles and evolves. But actually, even the person is a human construct, so it doesn't recycle and evolve. What evolves then? Does the mind, conditioned mind, evolve? We can say to some extent, yes, because the conditioned mind is a non-local process appearing in consciousness. So does the conditioned mind recycle and evolve? Yes. Ego recycles, evolves. And that's what we call the personality of a newborn. So you have, you have two identical twins, same DNA, same everything, but different personalities, okay? So that's the personality, which in turn is based on the jivas, sanskaras, and karmic story, just the storyline software. And then behind the jiva is the organizer of that storyline, Atman, Brahman, and it is similarly orchestrating infinite storylines. So today, let's just end with this idea that the physical body and the material universe are shifting projections of forms constructed by the evanescent appearance and disappearance of fluctuating particles. So what I've just said is not considered outside of science. I'll repeat that. The physical body and the material universe are shifting projections of forms constructed by the evanescent appearance of fluctuating particles. We see these in hadron colliders, etc., Higgs boson, whatever. But what are shifting fluctuations of particles? How do we know they exist? They're actually space-time events in our own awareness. And how are they space-time events in our own awareness? We experience those particles in our own awareness as on-off switches of appearing and disappearing particles, which then end up constructing the whole universe, including the physical body, and it's constantly recycling and evolving. So instead of using the word particle, we say shifting space-time events, projections of my own self. Conditioned self, of course. Beyond the conditioned self, infinite possibilities, infinite synchronicity, infinite creativity, infinite imagination, infinite self-regulation, infinite self-organization, infinite evolution. To what purpose? To ultimately to know that you are God. You are the divine. There's no compromise. So go to Psalm 46, is it, in the Bible? Be still and know that I am God. I think that phrase needs a little correction in Aramaic. So be still and know that I am is God. I am is God. This is what Jesus means when he says, before Abraham was, I am. And when Moses asked the burning bush, God, what's your name? God says, I am that I am. In Sanskrit, we say, Tattvamasi, you are that, I am that, all this is that alone is. Or Aham Brahmasmi, I am the universe. Or Sat Chitanand, I am truth, I am pure consciousness, I am eternal bliss, timeless bliss. Okay, so with that now, with the deepest understanding that you, in one way or another, are the inhabitant of a universe that you conceive, you construct, you govern, and you embed yourself in. Knowing the mechanics allows us to create infinite universes. In the Yoga Vishishta, the great sage Yogi Vashishta says, infinite universes come and go in the vast expanse of consciousness like motes of dust dancing in a beam of light. So just look at a beam of light shining through your roof, hole in the roof, and in that are motes of dust dancing. And these are infinite universes, each with its own innumerable eyes, knowers, modes of knowing and known. This can be a lifelong discussion, and this is what we'll pursue every week, going deeper if you want. If you go deeper and deeper, I promise you that the time will come when you will feel fully awakened, fully realized, know who I am is or what I am, and then feel liberated also, not only from all constructs, but the ability to generate constructs as a result of that, generate emotions, images, sensations, images. In other words, start constructing universes. And to what purpose? To participate in the creative play of consciousness called Leela, by projecting the veils of ignorance called Maya, which give us the experience of our own selves as fictional characters in a collective dreamscape, which is always subject to revision, always subject to revision. Okay, so I am going to stop here because there are a lot of questions. And the first question that I want to answer is from Jennifer Stillwell. If I'm creating my own illusion of reality, then are the other people I interact with my own creation? So Jennifer, just in that question, what do you mean by I? If I am creating my own illusion of reality. If you think of I am as somewhere inside the body, and there is no I am inside the body because the body is an experience in I am. But if you're stuck with this idea, I am my body, inside my body, I am the body mind, then you are creating your own illusion of reality, but you're also defending that illusion and fighting with everybody else who's creating their own illusion of reality. But if you go a little deeper into the same I am, then you'll see that the I is the subject of all experience, and that I is right now experiencing this and everything else. And it too is a movie, a shifting movie, but it includes all storylines and all perspectives, and therefore it's a creative playground where we can fight or not fight. We can be divine or we can be diabolical. So there's another question. Are other I consciousnesses also projections? What are my interactions with others? So yes, all other so-called I's are projections of one I, and each so-called personal I is projecting a personal body, mind, and universe experience. Wayne Rhodes explained the role of perception plays, assuming that I am interacting with other I ams. You're not interacting with other I ams. I am is the source of all I ams, and it is witnessing itself as all these I ams, and I am this mind, this personality, this projection. So you as I am are not projecting your story. You are actually witnessing the playground of what we call space, time, and causality that you are projecting. But if you're projecting it from a deeper level, then in that playground of space, time, and causality that we call Leela, you are also witnessing yourself as this body mind along with all other body minds. And you're the screen on which this 3D virtual reality is being created. And you're okay with it because you're not identifying only with this. You're identifying with this and all that and all others as I am. Valentina Markova, as we create and live in different realities, what is the common reality for all humans? Not only all humans, for all sentient beings, the common reality is I am. Before I'm an ant or a giraffe or a cloud or a rainbow, etc. Victor says, Dr. Chopra, can you expound on the collective subconscious? Is it what holds this matrix together? So the collective unconscious is a word used by Carl Jung, and it refers to the field of awareness which records all our personal memories, but all our collective memories, all our collective projections, all our collective desires in seed form. And so that collective unconscious also contains archetypes of human imagination that seek a union with the divine through symbolic representations of the divine that we call gods, goddesses, etc. And so that which Carl Jung called the collective unconscious is indeed the matrix that projects multiverses, but it is not fundamental reality. Fundamental reality is even beyond that, because that is the ultimate matrix. Atman, Brahman, is the ultimate, you would say, ground of existence, which is formless, which is borderless, which is irreducible, which is fundamental, which is joyful, all of that. That's the real I am, in which all these universes are appearing and disappearing in a ceaseless activity of timeless now, ceaseless. Pedro says, why are we constantly dreaming? Because it's fun, because the only way we can have an experience, even the physical world, is a lucid dream in a vivid now. Is a lucid dream in a vivid now. How do we know that? Well, just wait a second and it's changing. Wait a microsecond and what you experience is changing. Your body, your mind, everything is changing. The only constant is the presence of I am. So dreaming is the experience that we call everyday reality. Wittgenstein, and remember I quote him so often, our life is a dream, we are asleep, but once in a while we wake up enough to know that we're dreaming. So who do we wake up to? The dreamer. Why do we see multiple objects in the universe, whereas one consciousness exists as per Vedas? Soham Upadhyay. Well, we see the same scenery, but it looks different, like a hologram. So, when you see a hologram, it looks, if you take a hologram of me, for example, and you break it up in a trillion bits, every bit will represent the same me, but from a different angle. So that's how it is. We are a holo movement in a bigger hologram, and that each holo movement is a differentiated aspect of the total hologram. Karl Haas, is awareness the same thing as God? Yes, pure awareness, Purusha, Shiva, is God. But God not as an image, God not as some kind of dead white male in the clouds. God as the ultimate matrix, or you might say ground, or formless, infinite, irreducible awareness, or the substratum of all existence, ceaselessly being born and dying eternally and now. Ashwin Vastsa, how to transcend ego, and is ego required for living? The only way to transcend the ego is to feel it. So how do you feel your ego? Your body feels tight. Right now, think of something, a point of view you'd want to defend, or somebody that you don't like, or somebody that you want to prove wrong, or think of yourself as winning an argument. Think of your own story, good and bad, your body will tighten. And that feeling is ego feeling, not I am feeling. And all you have to do is put your awareness of I am into the ego feeling. So I am ego feeling is a resistance, a contraction. I am is universal. So bring the universal I am to the local I am feeling, and don't judge it. Just be aware and bring your loving awareness to it, and it'll diffuse. So don't try to fight the ego, which is the ultimate melodrama of the ego. If you fight the ego, it's the melodrama of the ego. Who wants to fight the ego? The ego. Feel it. It's a tightness. All your sphincters get tight when you're feeling the ego. We call people like that tight-assed or something like that. I've heard that expression. Your thought on position of positive thoughts and ability to manifest destiny. I think if you try too hard to be positive, you'll get really stressed and you'll stress other people. So positive thoughts also create turbulence in the mind. The best thing, and we can talk about manifestation of thoughts, law of attraction, all of that in the future, but the best way to manifest is through subtle intention, which is called Sankalpa. And when you have what is called Ananda Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Chitta Shakti, and Gyan Shakti, then subtle thought left alone while you settle in being organizes its own fulfillment through synchronicity or spontaneous fulfillment of desire. What is the difference between holding an intention and making a wish? Wish comes from the mind, from longing, desire, aspiration. Intention, grounded in the self, organizes its own fulfillment and is beyond wishes. Actually, it's beyond hope and despair, because hope and despair are both activities of the mind. And subtle intention or sankalp is not an activity of the mind. Gopal says, how is the law of karma so precise that the equitable punishment reward is meted out to the deserving. Well, I think that's a simplistic understanding of karma. Karma is actually the ultimate validation of free will. So we'll go beyond that in discovering karma. It's not a system of reward and punishment, even though there's the expression, karma never loses its address. But all karma is an echo from the past into the present. What is the difference between Atman and Brahman? Is Brahman the same as the word in the Bible? Very good question. Atman is the same as Brahman. The word is actually experience given construct, experience given meaning. And then that word becomes the flesh. The word was with God, as in the Gospel of John. So we'll end the Q&A now. And before we leave, I'm going to ask the wonderful CEO of Chopra Foundation, Punacha Muchaya, who's handling this behind the scenes, to replay Adi Shankara's hymn. I suggest you listen to the words very carefully, watch the illustrations, and look once again and remind yourself of the four fundamental truths, because we will be going deeper and deeper and deeper into self-realization. Thank you.
मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न च प्राणसंज्ञो न पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातु न वा पञ्चकोश न वाक्पाणिपादं न चोपस्तपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदोर्नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभावः न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न पुण्यं न पापं न चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदः पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्य चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभूत्वाच्च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां न च सङ्गतं नैव मुक्तिर्न मेया चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहं